Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the sixth edition of Today in the World of Wrestling. Tonight we are going to be talking about the episode of NXT that aired on June 29th, 2016. This was a pretty solid show. What did you think, John?
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun episode tonight.
Yeah, it felt much more eventful than last week's, where a lot happened, but nothing really happened. That being said, let's get right into it. Our first match, right off the bat, was a pretty well advertised match from last week: Alexa Bliss versus Carmella.
Very competitive first bout and nice choice of opener.
Nice choice of what?
Nice choice of opener.
Yeah, good. Yeah, definitely, for sure. This match would have been much better, I'm sure, if it hadn't been broken up by a Cruiserweight Classic commercial right in the middle of it.
Yeah, that was poorly timed.
Alexa Bliss did end up winning the match, however, with her newly dubbed Twisted Bliss, which is her new name, I guess, as a heel for the Sparkle Splash.
Love it. Fits the character perfectly.
Up next, we had a recap of the Balor Nakamura exchange from a couple weeks ago, and we got a more in-depth Nakamura interview. Talks about having known Finn for 10 years and promises to give us something sensational.
Great and personable way to generate interest.
Up next was a Cathy Kelley interview with Bayley. Bayley, of course, excited to be back. However, Alexa Bliss shows up and insists that Bayley does not deserve a shot at the NXT Women's Championship, but she does, and tells Bayley that if she wants one, she's going to have to go through her.
Smart way to build Bayley back up.
Yeah, and I think a smart way to build Alexa up, too.
Absolutely.
So up next, we had our second match of the night, Noah Potjes versus Andrade, Cien, Almas. Of course, Andrade won with his double knees in the corner, but it's worth noting that towards the beginning of this match, we did get "We Want Ty" chants.
Yeah, people want the perfect 10, and I want Andrade to be a heel.
Yeah, that makes both of us. So then Andrea DeMarco interviewed Austin Aries, who's basically just kind of salty that the fans like Jose more than him.
I threw pretzels at this segment.
So you were salty too?
Yeah, well, I wanted salt on those pretzels. I should have said unsalted pretzels. My mistake.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, so Aries is just kind of talking about how from here on out, whatever I do, it's on them, blaming the crowd for any violence he happens to inflict upon anyone in the future. So then, similar to the Nakamura interview we had earlier, we got a Finn Balor interview.
Same sentiments as before. A great way to generate interest. Finn's a very likable guy.
Yeah, he's likable, and we're going to talk about this a lot more during TitWoW. But then we got the Hype Bros versus Gargano and Ciampa, and even though I won't necessarily give a ton of credit to the Hype Bros, this was still probably their best match ever.
Yeah, very fun tag team match, surprisingly so.
Yeah, and once the match was over and the dust settled, Gargano and Ciampa came out on top, and all was right with the world. And Gargano got on a mic and said that he and Ciampa are owed a tag team championship match because they beat the Revival a couple weeks ago. And then American Alpha comes out, and they clearly, obviously, disagree.
Love American Alpha, but I'm quite excited for Gargano and Ciampa to get in the title hunt.
Well, American Alpha say that they are the alphas of NXT, which, I mean, it's in their name, so that makes sense. But then the Revival come out, and they disagree. They say, no, you guys aren't alphas anymore. You guys are the betas. And they refer to themselves as being in control. They're behind the wheel. They make the calls. They call the shots, whatever you want to say. But William Regal disagrees with that. So he comes out and says, no, I dictate the terms. And he sets up the Revival versus American Alpha for next week in a 2 out of 3 falls NXT Tag Team Championship match.
Epic tag team main event upcoming.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome next week. It's going to be nice to have sort of what you can really imagine would be a live special quality match on an episode of NXT TV.
Completely agree.
And I appreciate that they aren't making like this huge like Balor Nakamura style deal out of it, even though it's probably a bigger deal than that match actually is.
I would agree with that as well. I can't wait for this main event next week.
Yeah, so then once Gargano and Ciampa were leaving the ring, they were up to the top of the ramp, and the Authors of Pain attacked American Alpha from behind again. Gargano and Ciampa were thinking about trying to help. They were kind of hesitant, and eventually they decided to help. But it was really kind of pointless because, you know, the Authors of Pain are huge and scary and can handle themselves. So they actually tossed Gargano and Ciampa out of the ring pretty much just one by one. and then continue to dominate American Alpha. They ended up throwing Gable out of the ring completely. Jordan got off a sick suplex on one of the Authors of Pain, but it was in vain because the Authors dominate, and by the end of the show, Paul Ellering was out and posing.
That suplex was moment of the night, but Authors of Pain continue to impress.
Yeah, so it was a solid episode of NXT. It was, even though there were fewer things going on as far as like just there were fewer moving parts, it still felt like more important stuff happened this week. So that being said, guys, we're going to close it out here, and we will be back with you for our long-form NXT review on TitWoW.